Hey everybody, and welcome to the Enchanted Carrie Brown kitchen. And I'm Yogi. Wait a minute. Hello. Just a minute. Hold on just a second. Hey everybody. Everybody can see me now, right? Okay. Alright, so we're here at the Enchanted Carrie Brown kitchen. And today we are going to learn the basics of doing a crispy pork belly. We've had a lot of people asking about how to do this particular piece of meat, and they seem to be very intimidated by it, but it's actually very easy. So what we have here is essentially a very large slab of bacon, pre-bacon. Okay, you see lines here, that's bacon. What we're going to do is we're going to prep this to bake in the oven. You could put it in a smoker if you have, and if you want to get fancy with it, you can add other rubs and things like that. We're going to do the basics. So, to make the crispy pork belly, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn it over to the meat side right here. And we're going to make some long incisions down. And we're going to make basically a grid pattern down the meat. I'm not cutting all the way through. What I'm doing is I'm leaving some of the meat, but I'm making kind of an in-depth grid pattern here. This particular meat still has a little bit of silver skin on it. So if you get some that still has this thin layer of white skin right here, you want to get rid of that. That can actually be very tough to chew. So let's get rid of that silver skin. It don't want to go. There we go. And we got a little bit right here. And a little bit right here. And it should just, if you can get a grip on it, it should just peel right off. All right, so let's finish our grid. And you want to try to get them in even space grid patterns as close as you can. And that helps with the cooking. So, I'm going to get some handy dandy paper towels here. And I'm going to kind of blot the top of this dry a little bit, so that way our spices can stick. Okay? And all we're going to use today is salt and pepper. Okay? It's as simple as that. And that alone can actually make a very delicious pork belly. But if you want to get fancy, there's all kinds of pre-bought meat rubs you can use. Some are specifically designed for pork. You can use some garlic powder, onion powder. You can get some rosemary in there. You can do all kinds of stuff. All right, and I'm just going to kind of get some salt and pepper in here, and I'm just going to kind of work it into the inside where I've done the scoring as well. Okay, just kind of get it in there. All right, and then once you're done with that, we're going to flip it over to the white side. That's your fat side. We're going to dab it dry again. We want the back side of this thing to be very dry. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to score the back here. And what this is going to do, as it cooks, it's going to allow the fat to kind of break away and go down and marinate that meat a little bit and get everything nice and crispy in its own fat, which is going to be delicious. It's spider ham. All right. Kind of made the Spider-Man webbing All right, so after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of vinegar and I'm going to go ahead and put it on. If you got a brush, a barbecue brush or something, that'll be really good to put on there. But what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to kind of rub this vinegar in. This will actually add to the flavor a little bit, and it'll also kind of break down the fat a little bit and allow some of that rendering to go really nice. Okay? And again, I'm going to hit it. Salt and pepper. One real nice way that I love pork belly is actually an Asian style with wine vinegar. It's very crispy and it has some really good seasonings with 5 spice and some other things, and it's really delicious. Great with some palmini noodles or some sort of Asian dish, or kind of a deconstructed egg roll in a bowl. Really good stuff. Once I have it salt and peppered, what you're going to want to do is basically just take it, put it on a rack, throw it in the refrigerator overnight, let it sit, let that salt work its way in. Then after that, we're going to do a water bath in the base of the pan. I have it sitting up on a rack. We're going to put water down below, and we're going to wrap the underside of the pork belly with some aluminum foil. We're going to throw it in the oven at 400 degrees, and we'll get to that point, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey folks, how you doing? So we are back. We have let our pork belly sit overnight in the fridge. Okay, we salted it before it went in. We scored it to the little squares, and we scored the backside into a nice little grid right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to go into the oven, and we're going to preheat the oven at 400 degrees. We're going to allow it to bake in the oven for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to take the aluminum foil off that I'm about to put on and let it broil for about another 15 minutes. Now, all this back here, this is really good fat. We want to baste our meat in that fat so that the meat is really juicy, but this outer skin layer becomes like a nice pork crackling. So what we're going to do to prevent some stickage, I'm going to use some avocado oil. Now, you could use a basting brush, or if you're a heathen caveman like me, just get your fingers in there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a nice coat of some oil, and this is simply to prevent some stickage on the aluminum foil. So, get some more in there. All right. Now, like I said before, I want to capture all this nice fat layer so that it cooks the meat and keeps the meat nice and juicy. So we are going to kind of tent this in some aluminum foil. We're going to fold up the sides right here to just keep everything in, but we want to expose that back fat area right there. Okay, so we put the baby pork belly to bed. Now, we're going to also keep a lot of moisture in there, because as this thing bakes, we want to make sure that it doesn't stick, and we also want to keep that meat nice and juicy. And since it is kind of a bacon meat, if too much of the fat goes out, it will dry it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill the bottom of this pan with a layer of water and give it a nice water bath, so it keeps some humidity in the oven as it bakes. Right there. So as I said, we're going to throw this in the oven about 30 minutes, and then we're going to take the aluminum foil off, put it back on the rack, and broil it for about another 10 to 15 minutes so it gets that nice golden brown crackling look. All right, we'll see you then. Hey everybody, we are back, and I got the oven mitts on, and we got a complete crispy pork belly right here. Now, this technique of cooking is more of an Asian style technique. that gets that outer skin like a crispy chicharron. So what I'm going to do is pull this over here, and you can see that top skin is nice and crispy. What I did was I baked that in the oven for about a half hour on 400 degrees with the aluminum foil around it. I took the aluminum foil off, drained the excess water from the pan, and then I broiled it for about 10 minutes until I saw this end start getting nice and crispy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a little piece off here so you guys can see this. The meat cooked all the way through, really nice, okay? You see that? Right in there. Okay. The outer skin, nice and crispy. Awesome. You still have all that fat in there, give you nice flavor. This can be done all kinds of ways to give added flavor. In Asia, you would throw on some 5-spice, some vinegar and stuff as you put it in the oven and crisp it up that way and get this really nice flavor working through there. We did just salt and pepper, if you remember. And so it's fantastic with just salt and pepper. Another way you can go is you can marinate it in some liquid smoke if you don't have a smoker and get a smoked crispy pork belly. Or you can take this crispy pork belly, get a nice smoky cheese fondue type thing going, and get all kinds of melty, hot, smoky cheese all over this thing. This is fantastic in salads, in sandwiches. If you're gonna do like a keto sandwich with like a foxtail bun, and on top of a keto style pasta, especially with some Asian seasonings, or if you wanted to get real fancy, you could throw some basil and sun-dried tomato, dried sun-dried tomato powder inside there. Bake it up and get a basil rosemary, or a basil sun-dried tomato flavor. Some rosemary would work nice, garlic, all kinds of stuff. Sky's really the limit because the meat is very delicate and can absorb a lot of flavors from different things, and it can go in just about any direction you want. So this is really delicious. I hope you give it a try. We'll see you on the next cooking video.